Sometimes the sound that saves your life doesn't come from a person. It comes from a cry in the dark. The cold metal of the Glock 19 pressed against Jacob Wade's temple felt almost comforting. His finger hovered over the trigger. Steady, deliberate. 3 envelopes lay on the desk before him. To Mom, to Jennifer, to Lily. His final words to a world that had already taken everything. 34 years old, widowed, childless, broke. His apartment was silent except for the ticking of the clock and the slow rhythm of his breathing. He'd written his goodbyes. All that was left was to end the noise inside his head. But then, a sound cut through the stillness. A desperate, haunting cry from the night outside. A dog's howl. Raw, broken, pleading. Jacob's hand trembled. He froze, the sound piercing straight through the fog of despair. Lowering the gun, he stumbled toward the frosted window. Outside, beneath the lonely glow of a street lamp, a cardboard box sat half buried in the snow. Inside it, 3 tiny shapes shivered violently. Beside them stood a man, thin, unshaven, a cigarette dangling from cracked lips. A hand-scrawled sign leaned against the box. $100 for all 3. Last chance. Jacob glanced at his wallet. $127 all he had until payday. 14 days away. The puppies cried again, weak, fading. His father's old dog tags hanging cold against his chest brushed his skin. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. His father's voice echoed in his mind. Jacob holstered the gun, pulled on his coat, and ran. Snow bit at his face as he burst into the parking lot. The temperature had dropped below 15 degrees. His boots crunched through the icy layer as he approached the man beside the box. The stranger looked up, eyes narrowing at the sight of Jacob's badge. "Help you, officer?" His voice was rough, like gravel scraping pavement. Jacob ignored the question, kneeling beside the box. Inside were 3 German Shepherd puppies, no older than 8 weeks. One black and tan, one golden brown, one almost completely black with white paws. Their fur was crusted with ice, their bodies trembling. "They're freezing," Jacob said quietly. "They'll die out here." The man shrugged, smoke curling from his mouth. "Not my problem once someone buys them." "Where did you get them?" Jacob asked, suspicion rising. "Found them off Highway 50, the man said. "In a ditch. That's 60 miles from here," Jacob countered. "You drove through a blizzard with 3 dying puppies and didn't think to take them to a vet?" The man's jaw tightened. "I need money tonight. Bank opens in 6 hours." Something in his tone, too casual, too defensive, set off alarms in Jacob's gut. The instincts that came from 10 years on the force whispered, "He's lying." The man reached down, grabbing the black and tan puppy by the scruff. The pup whimpered in pain. "Put him down," Jacob ordered, voice sharp and commanding. The man hesitated, then set the puppy back in the box, eyes glinting with anger. Or maybe guilt. $100 for all 3, he muttered. "You won't find a better deal." Jacob looked at the puppies again. The black and tan one had an infected wound on his paw. The golden brown female was barely breathing. The black one's paw pads were gray from frostbite. Without immediate warmth, they wouldn't survive another 30 minutes. He looked down at his wallet. $27 money he desperately needed for rent, for food, for his mother's medication. He should have walked away, but then the black and tan puppy looked up at him, eyes deep brown, rimmed with gold. Rex's eyes, the same eyes as the dog who died trying to shield his daughter Lily. Jacob heard his father's voice again, as clear as the day he died. "Son, a man isn't measured by what he owns. He's measured by what he's willing to lose for those who need him." Jacob handed the man 5 20s, a 5 and 2 1s. "Take it," he said. The man counted it twice, smirked, and pocketed the cash. "Pleasure doing business, officer," he muttered, turning toward a rusted pickup truck. "Name's Johns Cole. You'll be hearing from me again." The truck roared to life and disappeared into the snow. Jacob memorized the license plate before looking down at the fragile box. The puppies whimpered softly, huddling together for warmth. He lifted the box and held it close to his chest, feeling the faint, rapid heartbeats beneath the towels. Inside his apartment, the air was warm but heavy. The television flickered in the corner. His mother, Maria, was asleep in her recliner, a blanket wrapped around her frail shoulders. Sticky notes covered the coffee table. "Wednesday. Jacob, my son. Don't forget to feed the fish." Her Alzheimer's was getting worse. Some days she remembered everything. Other days she called him David, mistaking him for his father. "Mom," Jacob whispered, setting the box down gently. "I need your help." Maria stirred, eyes cloudy but warm. When she saw the puppies, her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh Lord, what have you done?" "They were dying," he said quietly. "I couldn't leave them." Her expression softened. "Then we'd better get to work." Even through the fog of her illness, something in her shifted. Purpose. Get the towels from the dryer. "Boil some water," she said. "We'll need bottles and the puppy formula from under the sink." Jacob blinked. "You still have that?" "Of course," she said. "Just in case." They worked in silence, a rhythm forming between them, muscle memory from years of tending to scraped knees and sick days. Jacob wrapped the puppies in warm towels while Maria prepared bottles. The golden-brown female barely moved. The black one whimpered but drank greedily. The black and tan, his fighter, was cold and still. When his chest stopped moving, Maria gasped. Jacob! Jacob grabbed the puppy, tilting his tiny head back, clearing the airway. He pressed his mouth over the muzzle and gave 2 soft breaths. Nothing. 15 compressions. 2 more breaths. "Come on," he whispered. "Don't you quit on me." His vision blurred. He pressed again, harder, faster. Then, a gasp. A faint wheezing breath. The puppy's chest rose and fell. His tiny eyes opened, finding Jacob's face. He made a sound between a whimper and a bark. Jacob sank to the floor, trembling. His cheeks were wet. Maria rested a hand on his shoulder. "You saved him, baby." "I almost lost him," Jacob whispered, voice breaking. But you didn't," she said gently. "And that's why you're still here, to save them." Dawn broke slow and soft over Pinewood, Montana. By morning, all 3 puppies were sleeping soundly on a heating pad, breathing steady. Jacob sat on the floor beside them, exhaustion heavy, but something else stirring inside, a flicker of purpose. A reason to keep breathing. Maria handed him a cup of coffee and smiled faintly. "What are you going to name them?" He looked at the black and tan one first. "Duke," he said. "Strong, loyal." She nodded toward the golden-brown female. "And her?" "Bella," he said softly. "She's quiet, but she fought." "And that little troublemaker?" she asked, smiling at the black pup chewing the towel. Jacob chuckled, a sound that felt strange in his chest. "Max. Short for maximum trouble." Maria laughed, eyes bright with pride. "Your father would be so proud of you, Jacob." The words hit him harder than he expected. For the first time in a long while, Jacob Wade didn't feel dead inside. He felt alive. Jacob watched his mother sleep, and the thought struck him like cold water. Love had become the only language she could still give. At 68, Maria's mind was slipping, but the warmth in her hand when she held his wrist was as real as sunrise, uncomplicated, unconditional. "I love you." He whispered. "I know, baby," she murmured, kissing his forehead the way she had when he was small and the world felt fixable. "I know." When Maria finally settled back into bed, Jacob booted his laptop. He typed the license plate he'd memorized into the search bar. The truck that had vanished into the snow belonged to John's Cole. 1847 Oakage Road. The first hit made his stomach drop out from beneath him. Local woman killed in tragic dog attack. Daughter hospitalized. The article was 8 years old. Susan Cole had died trying to save her 4-year-old Emma from a neighbor's German shepherd that had bolted from its yard and mauled them both. Emma had survived, scarred, blind in one eye, her childhood rewritten by trauma. The civil suit had gone nowhere. The owner's lawyers were rich. The Cole family received a pittance, $50,000 against medical bills that topped into the millions. Jacob scrolled through the comments. "That animal destroyed my family. German shepherds are killers. They should all be put down." He looked across the room at Duke, Bella, and Max, 3 warm bodies curled together, oblivious to headlines and histories. John's had known exactly what they were. Jones had wanted them dead. The clinic opened at 9. Jacob sat in his car at 8:45. The puppies in a cardboard box on the passenger seat. Duke scrabbled at the lid, eager and curious. Bella slept, fragile as a whisper. Max chewed the corner of the box with the determination of a small tornado. When Dr. Rachel Winters arrived, silver Honda, medical bag slung over her shoulder, Jacob felt relief like the first inhale after surfacing. Rachel was 34. Someone he'd heard about in town, whispers. A widow, kind eyes and hands that never seemed to stop. She unlocked the clinic door and smiled with professional softness. "Officer Wade, I heard about Lily. I'm so sorry." Words meant nothing at that level of pain, Jacob knew, but he nodded anyway. "I need your help." He set the box on the exam table. Rachel pulled on gloves and moved with efficient tenderness, taking temperatures, auscultating small chests, peering into eyes. When she inspected Duke's paw, her brow changed. "This is pretty infected. He needs antibiotics and wound care," she said, voice clipped. She pressed on Bella's abdomen with careful fingers and stopped. "Officer Wade, when did you say you found them?" "Last night. Around 3. She ran the scanner over Duke. The reader beeped. Rachel read the microchip number, tapped it into her system, and then frowned at the screen. "Registered to Silverwood Kennel, Colorado Springs. Champion bloodlines." Her expression hardened. These puppies, if this is the litter I'm thinking of, they were reported stolen 4 days ago. Jacob felt the air leave him. Stolen? Rachel nodded. She pulled up a posting on her tablet. Dry German Shepherd puppies matching Duke, Bella, and Max, missing from Silverwood. The kennel was offering a reward. Who sold them to you? She asked. A man named Johns Cole. Jacob said and watched her face collapse into recognition. Johns Cole? Oh, God, she whispered. His wife, his daughter. That case, Rachel's eyes met his. The vet's practiced calm fractured for a second into something else. Sorrow. Understanding. He's been a walking wound since that attack, she said. If Johns took those puppies, he didn't take them to save them. She stopped herself. We'll call the kennel and sort that later. Right now, Duke needs antibiotics. Bella needs close monitoring. Pregnancy at 8 weeks is dangerous for a pup. Max has frostbite and an ear infection. I can do it, but the care will cost. She named a number, $847. Jacob blinked at the calculator on his phone, $27 in his wallet. Rachel studied him, something soft and fierce in her eyes. Consider this pro bono, for a fellow military family. She breathed the words as if they mattered. My husband used to tell stories about your father. Captain Brennan told him how David Wade saved his life. Let me protect these puppies. It's what Daniel would have wanted. When Jacob called Silverwood, his voice was steady even though his hands shook. Mrs. Patterson, this is Officer Jacob Wade. I have your puppies. There was a sob on the other end that sounded like half a decade of fear being poured out. Thank God, are they alive? Yes, they need care, but they'll make it. I was wondering, would you consider letting me keep them? I'll pay whatever is fair. His voice cracked on the last words. They need me. I think I need them. There was a long pause. Then, officer, you spent your last money saving them from freezing to death. That tells me everything I need to know. Keep them, love them. That's payment enough. The woman's voice trembled. One more thing. Duke is, well, his sire was a military working dog. Hero bloodlines. He'll live up to it. Jacob hung up with a phone that felt as hot as a coal. Duke rode home tucked inside his jacket. Bella found a cozy spot in the cup holder. Max christened the passenger seat with a proud, accidental puddle. At the station, Detective James Cooper poured them terrible coffee and listened to Jacob's story like a man hearing prayers in a hospital chapel. Johns Cole, Cooper murmured, grim. We watched him after the attack. Thing proved, but he's linked to a group. They call themselves Shepherd Watch. Cooper's voice dropped. Vigilantes, but for dogs. They've been tied to poisonings. FBI sniffed around, classified as extremist animal activists in their files. Jacob felt cold creep into his bones. He knows where I live. The thought landed like a stone. Make them disappear until we clean it up, Cooper advised, leaning forward. Surrender them to evidence, protective custody. We'll arrest Johns, shut the Shepherd Watch down. No, Jacob said and surprised himself with the hardness of the answer. They're my family now. Cooper sighed. Then you're a target. Watch your back. Back at the apartment, Maria bounced between good days and shadows. But that afternoon she was bright. She remembered him. The puppies, the names. She hummed an old hymn while Bella curled in her lap. Duke performed reconnaissance around the apartment, nose to floor, then settled near the front door like a tiny noble sentry. Max found Jacob boots and attacked them with the fierce concentration of youth. For the first time in a long time, laughter came out of Jacob like a rusty hinge finally freed. That night, they slept in a pile beside his bed. Around 2 a.m, Duke's low growl woke Jacob. The puppy stood at the bedroom door, hackles up as much as an 8-week-old could muster. Jacob crept to the window and saw a car parked across the street. No headlights, engine off. Someone inside staring at them. At 3, it drove away. Sleep fled. In the morning, the town's paper ran a headline. Officer uses last $100 to save 3 puppies from freezing. Someone had leaked the story. Compassion and trouble bound together. Within hours, it had spread like wildfire online. Generous comments and donations arrived, but so did venom. German Shepherds kill children. This cop is endangering us, read one post. Another user, Justice for Susan Johns Cole, raged, my wife died because of that breed. Save the monsters if you want. The tone was ugly, decisive, choiceless. By afternoon, people came to the station, blankets, toys, cash. $500 slipped anonymously into an envelope for medical bills. But there were also threats. Deputy Chief William Harris, Jacob, former father-in-law, called him in, the conversation thin as a blade. Remove those animals within 7 days or face suspension. Harris ordered. Your personal life is creating department liability. Jacob left the office shaking. Cooper intercepted him in the hall. He used to own a German Shepherd that was quietly gotten rid of after an incident, Cooper said softly. Record sealed. Might explain his heat. That evening, Jacob returned to find his front door ajar. His pulse doubled. He drew his service weapon and swept through the apartment. No sign of a break-in, until a bark from the basement sent him stumbling down the steps. There, in a corner cage, all 3 puppies were huddled together, unharmed but terrified. On the cage hung a note cut from magazine letters. 7 days. Say goodbye. The Shepherd Watch is watching. JCAB called Cooper. They dusted for prints. None. The doorbell camera had been disabled between 1 and 3 p.m. Professional work. They were in your house while you were at work, Cooper said, face stone. This is escalating. I'm not giving them up, JCAB said. Then move tonight, Cooper said. Take Maria, take the dogs. Go somewhere safe. Where? JCAB asked. The station has an emergency apartment upstairs. Small, secure. You can stay there. 60 days at least. They packed at midnight. Maria thought they were going on vacation. Duke stayed glued to JCAB. Bella stayed close to Maria. Max found a box of towels and fell asleep. They moved into the station apartment under the watch of night shift officers. JCAB lay on the couch with Puppies sprawled over his chest, Duke's little heart thudding against his ribs. 30 days ago he'd wanted to die. Tonight he hid in a police building with his mother and 3 puppies he'd known less than 48 hours, hunted by fanatics who wanted them dead. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. Against every instinct he answered. The voice on the line was filtered and cruel. Officer Wade, we know where you are. We know what you're protecting. 7 days. Then those animals die, maybe you with them. The call ended. Duke looked up, licked JCAB chin, a small, perfect vow of trust. JCAB stroked his head, voice steady in the dark. I won't let them hurt you, any of you, I promise. Outside the station lights, someone watched and waited. Patient, implacable, certain that German shepherds were monsters, and ready to make that certainty a reality. The blizzard warning screamed across JCAB phone at 6:00 a.m. On February 16th, the puppies, now 13 weeks old and 20 pounds each, scrambled around his feet as he refilled their bowls. The alert cut through the morning quiet like a siren. Historic winter storm approaching. Category 5 blizzard. Arrival 6:00 p.m. today. Temperatures 35 degrees C with wind chill. 4 FT snow expected. 60 plus mph winds. Whiteout conditions. Do not travel. Deadliest storm in 50 years. Moments later, Cooper knocked on the apartment door. You see the forecast? He asked. Just got it, JCAB said, tension tightening his chest. We're implementing emergency protocols, Cooper continued, voice low and serious. All non-essential personnel sent home. Essential staff stay. That includes you. You're bunking here anyway. JCAB nodded, mentally counting supplies. Dog food for a week? Check. His medications? Check. Maria's Alzheimer's meds, batteries, flashlights. A generator in the station basement fueled for 72 hours. He had it covered. And your mom? Cooper asked. JCAB glanced through the doorway. Maria sat in the recliner. Sticky notes scattered across the armrest. Last night's episode replayed in his mind. The moment she didn't recognize him, mistaking him for a stranger. Her fear and confusion had burned like ice across his soul. She'll be safer here, he said quietly. Cooper left. JCAB spent the morning reinforcing their temporary home. Extra firewood from the basement, water in every container, devices charged, weapon checked, fully loaded, magazines stacked in the safe. The puppies seemed to sense the tension. Duke paced by the door, ears twitching. Bella stayed close to Maria, who hummed softly to herself. Max shadowed JCAB, unusually subdued. At noon, Maria's eyes met his. Baby, something bad is coming, she whispered. I can feel it. Just the storm, Mom, he said. No, she pressed his hand between hers, cold, unyielding fingers. Something worse than weather. Her words sent a chill deeper than the blizzard ever could. By 4 p.m., JCAB phone rang. Unknown number. He ignored it. The voicemail left behind 2 words. Distorted, menacing. Tonight, midnight. He called Cooper immediately. They're coming during the storm, he said. We'll have officers on duty. Jim, the storm, JCAB replied, voice tight. You said everyone non-essential goes home. How many will actually be here? Cooper's pause was long. 4, including you and me. We're defending a building with 12 access points. Backup from the state police? Won't arrive through 4 feet of snow. We're on our own. JCAB gaze swept the room. Maria clutching a blanket, the puppies huddled near her. They were vulnerable. But we can't leave them. They barricaded doors, reinforced windows, and prepared for the storm to hit with the fury of something ancient and relentless. The Shepherd Watch wasn't just a rumor. They were organized, patient, methodical, and they knew exactly when to strike. At 6 p.m., the blizzard arrived. Wind screamed through the cracks of the building, rattling the windows. Snow whipped sideways, invisible curtains obliterating the parking lot. Temperatures plummeted. Visibility dropped to nothing. The power flickered and once, twice. Then the generator roared to life. Lights stabilized. Cooper gathered the 4 officers present, JCAB, Rodriguez, and Smith. Gentlemen, he said, voice hard. Armed intruders targeting Officer Wade's apartment. Protect him, his mother, and the station. Questions. Rodriguez raised a hand. Sir, who attacks a police station? People who think they're righteous, Cooper said flatly. More dangerous than ordinary criminals. Equipment distributed. Extra radios, flashlights, firearms. JCAB stayed in the apartment. Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except Cooper. At 7 p.m., the first window shattered. The back, evidence room. Rodriguez checked. No one inside, just a rock. Sealing it now. Another window, front lobby. Then side hallway, probing, testing, or distracting. Jacab heartbeat matched the storm. Every instinct screamed danger. At 8 p.m., they breached. 3 masked figures appeared simultaneously. Back door, side entrance, basement window. The alarm blared. Gunfire cracked, glass shattered. Jacob positioned himself at the apartment door, weapon aimed. Police. I will shoot, he shouted. Just the dogs, a voice muttered. Not happening. Then you die with them. The door shuddered under a heavy blow. Frame splintered. Jacab fired a warning shot. Silence followed. Footsteps retreated. His radio crackled. 3 down, 4 fled. Another vehicle outside. At least 4 more hostile. Before Cooper could reach him, lights went out. Generator dead. Darkness swallowed the room. Maria screamed. Jacab spun his flashlight. A man clambered through the bedroom window, 3 stories up. Reaching for Duke, Jacab tackled him. They crashed into the dresser. The man's strength was formidable, trained. Chokehold, knife drawn. Pain ripped across Jacob's shoulder. He fought, disarmed, pistol hipped. Another intruder entered, another at the door. Mom, puppies, he shouted. Maria grabbed the box, Duke barking furiously. Bella frozen, Max whimpering. She slammed the bathroom door and locked it. Jacob faced 2 attackers alone. Bleeding, weapon nearly empty, hope thinning. Then Cooper appeared. Tackle, restrain. 3 intruders in custody. 4 fled into the storm, but Jacob instincts screamed. Too easy, this isn't over. The apartment door opened. Harris stepped inside, uniform dusted with snow, weapon drawn with unnerving calm. Where are the puppies? His tone left no room for negotiation. Jacob froze. His mind raced. Harris's smile was flat, certain. Remember Thor? Harris said. Jacob's stomach dropped. Thor, champion bloodlines. The dog 8 years ago that had killed Susan Cole. His pulse raced. I gave Thor, now Rex, to you. Perfect cover story. Rex saved lives, became a martyr. No one questioned his past, Harris continued. But now, you adopted 3 more from the same bloodline. Duke is Rex's nephew. Genetic potential for violence. You've brought evidence back into the light. You've activated a problem you don't understand. You're insane, Jacob said. No, practical, Harris replied, aiming at the bathroom door. Those puppies die tonight. You die with them if necessary. Chaos erupted. Shots fired. Cooper lunged. Harris's gun barked. Cooper collapsed, clutching his shoulder. Jacab world narrowed to pain, blood, and the whimpering of the puppies. Through the darkness, a faint sound. Pause on tile. Max, shaking but determined, squeezed through the damaged bathroom door gap. Licked Jacab's face frantically. Stay awake, Jacab whispered, voice rasping. A sound he knew, deep, furious, protective. Duke. All 18 pounds of warrior blood launched at Harris, teeth sinking into his gun hand. Harris screamed. Bella squeezed through the gap next, running to Maria, pressed against her chest. Max stayed with Jacob, licking blood from his face, trying to keep him alive. Vision tunneled. Pain was abstract, suffocating, blood loss dragging him under, and yet Jacob knew one thing. He would protect them. All of them, or die trying. This version tightens pacing, keeps dialogue cinematic, and emphasizes suspense, emotion, and visual storytelling, ideal for a film or dramatic reading. I can also rewrite Section 4 next, keeping this same cinematic intensity if you want. Do you want me to continue with Section 4? Here's the rewritten Section 3, transformed into a cinematic, suspenseful narrative style with emotional tension and movie-like pacing. The blizzard warning screamed across Jacob's phone at 6:01 a.m. on February 16th. The puppies, now 13 weeks old and 20 pounds each, scrambled around his feet as he refilled their bowls. The alert cut through the morning quiet like a siren. Historic winter storm approaching. Category 5 blizzard. Arrival 6 p.m. today. Temperatures 35 degrees with wind chill. 4 FT snow expected. 60+ amp winds. Whiteout conditions. Do not travel. Deadliest storm in 50 years. Moments later, Cooper knocked on the apartment door. You see the forecast? He asked. Just got it, Jacob said, tension tightening his chest. We're implementing emergency protocols, Cooper continued, voice low and serious. All non-essential personnel sent home. Essential staff stay. That includes you. You're bunking here anyway. Jacob nodded, mentally counting supplies. Dog food for a week, check. His medications, check. Maria's Alzheimer's meds, batteries, flashlights, a generator in the station basement, fueled for 72 hours. He had it covered. And your mom? Cooper asked. Jacob glanced through the doorway. Maria sat in the recliner. Sticky notes scattered across the armrest. Last night's episode replayed in his mind, the moment she didn't recognize him, mistaking him for a stranger. Her fear and confusion had burned like ice across his soul. She'll be safer here, he said quietly. Cooper left. Jacob spent the morning reinforcing their temporary home. Extra firewood from the basement, water in every container. Devices charged, weapon checked, fully loaded, magazine stacked in the safe. The puppies seemed to sense the tension. Duke paced by the door, ears twitching. Bella stayed close to Maria, who hummed softly to herself. Max shadowed Jacob, unusually subdued. At noon, Maria's eyes met his. "Baby, something bad is coming," she whispered. "I can feel it." "Just the storm, Mom," he said. "No." She pressed his hand between hers, cold, unyielding fingers. "Something worse than weather." Her words sent a chill deeper than the blizzard ever could. By 4 p.m., Jacob phone rang. "Unknown number," he ignored it. The voicemail left behind 2 words, distorted, menacing. "Tonight, midnight." He called Cooper immediately. "They're coming during the storm," he said. "We'll have officers on duty." "Jim, the storm," Jacob replied, voice tight. "You said everyone non-essential goes home. How many will actually be here?" Cooper's pause was long. 4, including you and me. We're defending a building with 12 access points. Backup from the state police? Won't arrive through 4 feet of snow. We're on our own." Jacob's gaze swept the room. Maria clutching a blanket, the puppies huddled near her. They were vulnerable. "But we can't leave them." They barricaded doors, reinforced windows, and prepared for the storm to hit with the fury of something ancient and relentless. The Shepherd Watch wasn't just a rumor. They were organized, patient, methodical, and they knew exactly when to strike. At 6 p.m., the blizzard arrived. Wind screamed through the cracks of the building, rattling the windows. Snow whipped sideways, invisible curtains obliterating the parking lot. Temperatures plummeted. Visibility dropped to nothing. The power flickered and once, twice. Then the generator roared to life. Lights stabilized. Cooper gathered the 4 officers present, Jacob, Rodriguez, and Smith. "Gentlemen," he said, voice hard. "Armed intruders targeting Officer Wade's apartment. Protect him, his mother, and the station. Questions?" Rodriguez raised a hand. "Sir, who attacks a police station?" "People who think they're righteous," Cooper said flatly. "More dangerous than ordinary criminals. Equipment distributed. Extra radios, flashlights, firearms." Jacob stayed in the apartment. "Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except Cooper." At 7 p.m., the first window shattered. "The back evidence room," Rodriguez checked. "No one inside, just a rock." "Sealing it now." Another window, front lobby. Then side hallway, probing, testing, or distracting. Jacob's heartbeat matched the storm. Every instinct screamed danger. At 8 p.m., they breached. 3 masked figures appeared simultaneously. Back door, side entrance, basement window. The alarm blared. Gunfire cracked, glass shattered. Jacob positioned himself at the apartment door, weapon aimed. "Police." "I will shoot," he shouted. "Just the dogs," a voice muttered. "Not happening." "Then you die with them." The door shuddered under a heavy blow. Frame splintered. Jacob fired a warning shot. Silence followed. Footsteps retreated. His radio crackled. 3 down, 4 fled. Another vehicle outside. At least 4 more hostile. Before Cooper could reach him, lights went out. Generator dead. Darkness swallowed the room. Maria screamed. Jacob spun his flashlight. A man clambered through the bedroom window, 3 stories up, reaching for Duke. Jacob tackled him. They crashed into the dresser. The man's strength was formidable, trained. Chokehold, knife drawn. Pain ripped across Jacob's shoulder. He fought, disarmed, pistol hipped. Another intruder entered, another at the door. "Mom!" "Puppies," he shouted. Maria grabbed the box, Duke barking furiously, Bella frozen, Max whimpering. She slammed the bathroom door and locked it. Jacob faced 2 attackers alone, bleeding, weapon nearly empty, hope thinning. Then Cooper appeared. Tackle, restrain, 3 intruders in custody. 4 fled into the storm. But Jacob instincts screamed. Too easy, this isn't over. The apartment door opened. Harris stepped inside, uniform dusted with snow, weapon drawn with unnerving calm. "Where are the puppies?" His tone left no room for negotiation. Jacob froze. His mind raced. Harris's smile was flat, certain. "Remember Thor?" Harris said. Jacob's stomach dropped. Thor, champion bloodlines. The dog 8 years ago that had killed Susan Cole. His pulse raced. "I gave Thor, now Rex, to you." Perfect cover story. Rex saved lives, became a martyr. No one questioned his past. Harris continued. "But now, you adopted 3 more from the same bloodline. Duke is Rex's nephew. Genetic potential for violence. You've brought evidence back into the light. You've activated a problem you don't understand. You're insane," Jacob said. "No, practical," Harris replied, aiming at the bathroom door. "Those puppies die tonight. You die with them if necessary." Chaos erupted. Shots fired. Cooper lunged. Harris's gun barked. Cooper collapsed, clutching his shoulder. Jacob's world narrowed to pain, blood, and the whimpering of the puppies. Through the darkness, a faint sound, pause on tile. Max, shaking but determined, squeezed through the damaged bathroom door gap. Licked Jacob's face frantically. "Stay awake," Jacob whispered, voice rasping. A sound he knew, deep, furious, protective. Duke. All 18 pounds of warrior blood launched at Harris. teeth sinking into his gun hand. Harris screamed. Bella squeezed through the gap next, running to Maria, pressed against her chest. Max stayed with Jacab, licking blood from his face, trying to keep him alive. Vision tunneled. Pain was abstract, suffocating. Blood loss dragging him under. And yet, Jacab knew one thing. He would protect them. All of them, or die trying. Harris hurled Duke against the wall. The little puppy yelped, bounced hard, but scrambled to his feet. Limping now, he planted himself between Harris and Jacab, growling with defiance. "You little monster," Harris snarled, retrieving his gun with his left hand. He aimed at Duke. Jacab tried to move, but his body refused to respond. He could only watch as Harris's finger tightened on the trigger. Bang! The echo cut through the room. But Duke didn't fall. Harris did. In the doorway stood Johns Cole, pistol still smoking in his hand. His face was frostbitten. His lips blue, hands shaking violently from the blizzard outside. Somehow, impossibly, he'd crossed 40 miles of 35°C storm to get here. "Not the puppies," John said, his voice raw. "Never the puppies." Harris clutched his shoulder, bleeding but alive. "Johns. Why?" Jacab managed, barely able to speak. "Because I'm done being what you made me," John said, gun still trained on Harris. "I'm done hating. I'm done killing. I'm done being the monster." Cooper dragged himself upright and grabbed his radio with his good arm. "Officer down. Multiple officers down. Send every available unit. No one's coming." Harris spat through gritted teeth. "The storm. Then we wait," Cooper said, clumsily cuffing Harris with one hand. "Wait for morning. Wait for justice." Johns lowered his gun and knelt beside Jacab. "Can you hear me?" Jacab managed a faint nod. "You're going to make it. You hear me? You saved them. Now let me save you." John's hands moved with precision born of muscle memory. Tourniquet on Jacab thigh, pressure on his shoulder wound, legs elevated to keep blood in vital organs. "Maria, blankets, water, bandages." Maria moved like she was 20 years younger. The fog of Alzheimer's burned away in crisis as she rushed to fetch everything Johns needed. But Jacab was fading fast, core temperature dropping. Blood loss combined with the Arctic wind from the broken window. Hypothermia was settling in. Minutes, not hours, to save him. Duke limped over and collapsed onto Jacab's chest, his tiny body warm, heartbeat strong. Bella curled against his side. Max pressed against his neck. 3 puppies, small, fragile, yet fiercely protective, were trying to keep him alive. Johns looked at Maria. "We need to keep him warm. Lie down beside him. Body heat. It's all we have." Without hesitation, Maria lay beside her son, wrapping herself around him. "Stay with me, baby. Don't you dare leave me. Not you too. Please God, not you too." Cooper used his body to shield the broken window, jackets spread across the frame. The cold still poured in but lessened. Rodriguez and Smith appeared, having secured the remaining intruders. They piled every blanket in the station on top of Jacab. The storm raged outside. The generator was dead. No help could reach them. All they could do was wait and hope. Jacab consciousness flickered like a dying candle. He saw his father's face, saw Rex, saw Lily smiling, reaching for him. "Not yet," he heard Maria whisper. Duke licked his face, a long, deliberate, warm lick from chin to forehead. Jacab eyes focused on those dark, familiar eyes, so like Rex's. Courage, innocence, and the promise of protection reflected back at him. His purpose crystallized in his fading mind. These puppies needed him. Maria needed him. Even Jones, broken and seeking redemption, needed him to survive. To prove that saving lives mattered more than revenge. His hand trembled, found Duke's head and stroked it once. "Good boy," he whispered. Then darkness took him. Outside, the storm screamed. Inside, a retired cop, a mother with Alzheimer's, 2 junior officers, and 3 German Shepherd puppies fought to keep one man's heart beating. Johns checked Jacab's pulse. Faint. Thready, but there. "Come on, Wade. Don't quit now. You taught me something tonight. Dogs aren't monsters. We are, and we can choose to be better." Harris, handcuffed and bleeding, glared silently as dawn slowly broke. The storm subsided. 4 feet of snow buried the world outside. State police, ambulances, and snowplows began their long, impossible task. Paramedics stabilized Jacab. Severe hypothermia, critical blood loss, yet alive. Maria climbed into the ambulance with him, refusing to leave his side. Duke barked frantically, protesting their departure. Johns gently scooped him up. "He'll be okay, boy. Promise." Duke's intelligent eyes assessed Johns and trusted him. Cooper was loaded into a second ambulance, shoulder wound serious but survivable. He gripped John's arm. You saved his life. He saved mine first, Johns said quietly. Harris was arrested, facing federal charges. Johns testified, revealing the evidence. Rex's past, Harris's crimes, Shepherd Watch's network, and the cover-ups. Justice prevailed. Months later, Jacob woke from surgery. Maria held his hand, the puppies safe under Johns' care. Relief washed over him. Johns, once a broken man, now volunteered at the animal shelter, healing instead of harming. Harris received a life sentence. Jones received a chance at redemption. Two men, once enemies, both saved by 3 small German shepherds, understood why they fought, not for revenge. Not for hate, but for life, love, and the choice to be better. Johns wept quietly in the courtroom, his voice raw but steady. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Officer Wade. I won't waste this chance. Outside, reporters swarmed like a storm. Microphones thrust toward Jacob as cameras flashed. The story had gone national. A corrupt police chief, an escaped prisoner turned hero, and 3 small German shepherd puppies at the center of it all. Officer Wade, a reporter asked, what happens to the puppies now? For the first time in over a year, Jacob's smile reached his eyes. They're coming home with me, he said softly, where they belong. Duke, Bella, and Max were waiting in the transport van. As Jacob opened the door, Duke launched himself into his arms, licking every inch of his face. Bella pressed against his legs, her tail wagging so hard her whole body shook. Max bounced around, barking with joy. Missed you too, guys, Jacob whispered into Duke's fur. Missed you too. March 15th arrived with warmth that felt impossible after the long winter. The snow had finally melted, revealing the brown grass of early spring. At Rachel's veterinary clinic, Bella lay on a special birthing bed, panting heavily. Labor had started 3 hours ago. Jacob sat beside her, stroking her head gently. You're doing great, girl. Just a little longer. Rachel monitored the contractions with steady hands. Outside the birthing room, Duke and Max paced anxiously, sensing the importance of the moment. At 6 months old, 50 pounds each, they were still deeply connected to Bella. Still protective, still aware. The first puppy emerged, a tiny male, black and tan like Duke. Rachel cleared his airways and rubbed him vigorously until he squeaked, a sound that was immediately answered by Bella's loving lick. One by one, 4 more puppies followed over the next 2 hours. 3 males, 2 females, all healthy, all perfect. Maria, sitting quietly in the corner, wiped tears from her eyes. It's a miracle, she whispered. After all they'd endured, life just kept coming. When Bella rested with her 5 puppies, Jacob called Johns. They're here. All 5. Want to meet them? Within 20 minutes, Johns arrived. He had been living at the apartment under the terms of his probation, working as caretaker for the sanctuary Jacob was building on the 10-acre property, purchased with GoFundMe donations totaling $487,000. The community's generosity had saved the house, paid Maria's medical bills, and funded a meaningful purpose. Johns knelt beside Bella's bed. Hey, Mama, you did good. Bella's tail thumped weakly. She trusted Johns now. Had learned that his hands were gentle, his voice kind. Can we name them? Maria asked, her voice trembling. As a family? Jacob looked around the room. His mother, lucid and present. Johns, once an enemy, now a brother. Rachel, steadfast and quietly significant. Duke and Max, faithful companions. Family, not by blood, but by choice. The big male, Jacob said, pointing to the puppy most like Duke. Rex, in honor of my partner who died protecting Lily. The second male, Johns added, voice thick with emotion. David, for your father. The third, Rachel suggested softly. Tommy, for the boy who survived. Maria lifted the first female puppy, the softest fur brushing her fingers. Susan, she said, for John's wife. She loved dogs. She deserves to be remembered as she lived, not how she died. Johns pressed a hand to his mouth, unable to speak. The smallest female squirmed in Jacob's hands. Emma, he whispered, for the girl who wanted her father to stop hating. She got her wish. Johns left the room quietly, shoulders shaking with sobs against the building. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, he replied. Susan and Emma were victims. They deserve to be honored. And these puppies, they're proof that life continues, that healing is possible. The sanctuary grand opening came 6 months later. The property had been transformed. Kennels, training areas, a medical facility, office spaces. A large sign proclaimed, Maria's Sanctuary, where second chances bloom. Maria cut the ribbon with steady hands, smiling through tears. When my son Jacob used his last $100 to save 3 puppies, people called him crazy. She told the crowd of 300. But sometimes the craziest thing you can do is the most human thing. These dogs, they aren't monsters. They're teachers. They taught us forgiveness, second chances, unconditional love, and they saved my son by letting him save them first. By then, the sanctuary had rescued 47 German shepherds from euthanasia lists. 28 had been adopted, 19 remained in sanctuary care, receiving therapy and service training. Duke, Bella, and Max had graduated from canine training. Duke in search and rescue, Bella as a therapy dog visiting schools, Max in bomb detection. The 5 puppies were being raised as the next generation of working dogs, each showing remarkable potential. Johns ran the sanctuary full-time. His probation's 2,000 hours of community service had become a calling. Caleb, his 17-year-old son, worked alongside him every weekend. "I'm proud of you, Dad," Caleb said one afternoon. John's eyes filled with tears. "Your sister would be proud, too." Tommy Morrison, now 9, visited every Saturday. "When I grow up, I want to do what you do," he told Jacob. "Save animals." Jacob knelt, smiling. "You already are, Tommy. Every time you care for your puppy, you're saving him from a world that doesn't always understand. That's heroism." By autumn, Rachel had moved into the sanctuary's main house with Jacob and Maria. One October evening, as the sun dipped low, Rachel rested her head on Jacob's shoulder. "I have something to tell you," she said nervously. His heart skipped. "Good or bad?" "Good, very good." "I'm pregnant." Jacob froze. "Pregnant? As in a baby?" "If you want to," she said. "I know it's fast. I know you lost Lily." "I know," he whispered and kissed her. Duke thumped his tail in approval. "I want to. God, I want to." 20 years later, Tommy Morrison, now 28, stood at his wedding reception. A veterinarian and sanctuary founder, he had saved over 200 dogs in his career. "When I was 8, he said, raising a glass, 3 dogs saved my life in a blizzard. But before that, a police officer saved those dogs with $100. That $100 became this." He gestured to the sanctuary empire. "You can't change the world at once, but you can change one life, and that life changes another and another. Officer Wade changed mine, so I changed 200 more. That's how love multiplies." Jacob, now 54, sat with Rachel and their children, David and Hope. Maria, 88, frail but present, sat beside them. Johns, 62, healthy and strong, sat with Caleb and his family. Duke, Bella, and Max, now 10, gray-muzzled but alert, lay protectively around them. Jacob remembered that night, February 16th, 3 a.m., standing at the window with a gun to his head. 3 puppies crying in the snow reminded him of his father's words, "Protect those who cannot protect themselves." He chose to save them instead of surrendering to despair. And in saving them, he saved himself. The sun set over the sanctuary, painting the sky gold and pink. 47 German shepherds slept safely in warm kennels. Volunteers would come tomorrow. Families would adopt. Children would learn that dogs weren't monsters. They were mirrors, reflecting the love or hate they received. Rachel rested her head on his shoulder, pregnant with their 3rd child. Duke, Bella, and Max formed a protective circle around them. "Happy?" Rachel asked. Jacob thought of the $100, the 3 puppies, the enemy who became a brother, the mother whose love never wavered, the man who chose to save instead of die, and the life they had rebuilt together. "Yeah," he said softly. "Yeah, I'm happy." Above, the first stars appeared. Somewhere, Jacob liked to think his father, Lily, and Rex were watching, proud, at peace. The sanctuary sign glowed in the dusk. Maria's sanctuary, where second chances bloom. Founded 2024, love had won. Against all odds. Against all pain. Against all darkness. It had started with 3 puppies, $100, and a man who chose to save them instead of himself. That choice saved not only lives, but a world of hope, one life at a time.